Hello, and welcome to The Pool is Abstract, where we're currently rewatching and dissecting the revived series of Doctor Who, episode by episode. My name is Connor, and with me is the person that I would want to take home. It's Charlotte.
Hello.
Hello. I could see your brain working and trying to figure out if that was an insult or not.
No, it was less that. I'm more trying to work out what that linked to. But I understand now.
We got there in the end.
Yeah. I was like,
Yes. Right. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we are taking a bit of a detour. We are covering Season 2 or Series 15, depending on how you look at it. Episode 1, the episode is called The Robot Revolution. It aired just yesterday, as of time of recording, April 12th, 2025, and was written by Mr. Russell T. Davis. How are you feeling about the episode? I will specify.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah?
Yeah. I don't know whether we should go into it kind of now or whether it's something at the end. But I enjoyed it and I'm looking forward to the next episode.
Good.
Yeah. What about you?
I did too. I will say, for context's sake, for everyone listening, we watched the episode this morning. Charlotte popped out shortly after, and I watched it a second time. So I might have picked up a couple more things because I watched it a second time. But it's still pretty fresh for us, and we've not really spoken about it because we wanted to save our thoughts for this. But yeah, I think in comparison to Space Babies, as in
significantly better,
like the last season's opener.
Yeah,
it's better.
This is much stronger, yes.
And it's funny because I did say this to you earlier, not about this season, but just about Doctor Who in general, that season openers don't tend to be the best episodes. No. Like, even when you think back to your favourite eras, if you think back to like the early Moffat era, or you think to Russell's first era, the eras that people have a lot of nostalgia for, if you look at those opening episodes like New Earth or Partners in Crime or Rose even, like, they're not often the highlights of their series.
No.
So even if you watch this and you didn't love it, it doesn't really mean anything.
No.
Like, I think like a lot of people love the 11th hour, but I feel like the 11th hour is very much a standout in terms of hopping on points and series openers and companion introduction episodes that are outstandingly good.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But even with that in mind, yeah, not only was this a significant improvement over last season's, but I enjoyed this.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the best thing ever, but it does a good job. I was going to say something, but I'll save it for when we get into it.
Okay.
But yeah, do you have anything just in general that you wanted to say?
I've got some things I'd like to discuss, but I think it's probably best we get into it and kind of like
address it as it comes up.
Yeah. Well, mine will be more towards the end, I think.
Okay.
I want to discuss.
All right, cool. No worries. Well, again, I did say this when we covered Joy to the World. This episode is so fresh, it doesn't have a plot summary on the TARDIS wiki yet. So whilst I was watching it for the second time, I was making my notes down. So if I make any mistakes, or I leave something out, or I just come across very slapdash and don't appear to look like I know what I'm doing, that's because it's true. So
Because I don't.
Because I don't. So don't mind me, I'm just trying to adjust my headset because I can feel it sliding off the back of my head, and that's quite annoying. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So the episode begins. We get I don't know if you call it a title card, but we get some text appear on screen that says 17 years ago. And we see the two people that we will come to know as Belinda and Alan. They're sat on a park bench and they're kind of looking out at the stars. Alan's kind of pointing at one star in particular, and he says, that's 4 quadrillion miles away. And then there's this weird line where he says, I know girls aren't good at maths.
I mean, it does come. It does kind of come into play.
It does. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't notice that line the first time I watched it.
I didn't either. I didn't know that was said.
I didn't notice it the first time. I noticed it the second time. It made a lot more sense having seen it the first time.
Yeah.
But also, I don't know what maths are involved there. You just told her a number.
Yeah. Again, I think.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah. But anyway, it's Belinda's birthday. We get the impression these guys. On the second viewing, I think they're dating.
Yeah.
On the first time, I got the impression that he was like in the friend zone or something, and he was trying to get out.
Well,
but
I thought they were kind of on a date. I don't know whether they were dating, but it seemed like they were, on a date. That was my vibe anyway.
But either way, the impression I get is he's a lot more into her than she is to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Belinda's birthday, so he gives her a birthday present, and she opens it up. Again, there's a weird line where he says, like, "Oh, just rip it open, yeah, sure. Why not save the paper for later?" Okay. Yeah, and it's a certificate inside. He's bought her a star. That's something that you can do in real life, right?
Yeah.
You can buy stars and stuff for other people in their name.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she looks at it, and I'm not going to lie. I know for most of the time we're on Belinda's side during this, but it does strike me as odd. The first thing she says is, "Does it have to say Miss?" Because it says her full name on it, Miss Belinda Chandra. And she asks, "Does it have to say Miss?" And he says, "Are you married?" And she says, "No." And he's like, "Well, then you're a Miss." And yeah, she just kind of looks at him a bit funny, and then he says, "Do you like it?" And she's like, "Oh, yeah, thank you. This is the nicest thing anyone's ever done for me." And then they have a kiss.
Yeah.
I know, I said this to you while we were watching it, and I know you disagreed. This comes across very Moffat to me.
I don't think it does.
Because I think there's something about this that feels very fairy tale-esque.
No.
About them, like, sat under the stars. It doesn't strike me as something that would have happened during Russell's first tenure, but it feels like something that could have happened in Series 5. That's just me, but yeah. So then we smash cut to the present day. It's 17 years later, and I'm not gonna lie, when I was making my notes, I had to do some things here, because I thought, 17 years, that's a long time. And I thought, how old is Belinda? And I had a look. So Belinda is 33.
She doesn't look it.
She doesn't look it. I thought she would have been in her early to mid-20s.
I was guessing the same, yeah.
No, well, she has to be 33, because 17... If in the flashback she was 16, and 17 years later she would be 33, which is how old Varda Sethu is.
Yeah.
So... Yeah.
Wow.
I say Varda Sethu is 33, so either that flashback she's younger than 16, in which case, yuck, or say she's 17, 18 in that flashback, then she's actually closer to 35 by the time we come to present day. Either way, she's older than I thought she was.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought she was going to be in her mid to late 20s. I wouldn't have thought 30.
Yeah. Especially after, like, coming straight after Ruby, who was like a teenager still.
Yeah.
But yeah, Belinda, now 33 or thereabouts, is working as a nurse in a hospital. You made this point already that Russell seems to have developed a template,
Yeah.
a bit of a pattern.
A little bit, yeah.
Teenage blonde.
A very young teenage blonde who lives with her mum in London.
Yeah.
And then next...
Slightly older, more mature person of colour who works in the medical profession in a hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder what we're going to get next. What if Donna just comes back?
Well, you say that about next. We'll get to it later, but there were a couple of moments in this that did make me think Donna. So I'll tell you when we get there.
Okay.
But yeah, so again, just another kind of Russell T Davis-ism. We're seeing her throughout her day. The doctor's also in the hospital.
Yeah.
He's looking for her, and they keep having these near misses, very much like Partners in Crime. I guess that's my first Donna-ism.
Yeah.
Is that, yeah, she's like walking down a corridor, wheeling someone past, like a patient in a wheelchair, and the doctor kind of just misses her and things like that. Towards the end of the day, she leaves. Someone says, like, "Hey, there was a doctor asking for you earlier," and she laughs, and she's like, "Yeah, ain't that always the case?" And then she leaves. And then we see the doctor at reception. He's trying to ask for someone's details. The receptionist says, "I can't just give you details." He says, he goes, "Ooh, what's that?" And she turns around and goes, "What?" And then he tries to sonic the computer and just kills the entire power for the building.
Oh, no.
Well, that's played for laughs, but I'm like, how many people are on life support in that building?
Don't think about that.
What a
that.
weird gag to add in there for no reason.
It's fine. The backup generators, I'm sure they'll kick in. It'll be fine.
Yeah. So then we smash cut to Belinda at home. Her food looks kind of gross. She's got her head in the fridge.
the little box that says Belinda, she opens it and she's like, sniffs it and then it's like, nah. And then puts it back in the fridge.
We've all done that. We have. We've all smelled something, thought, ew, gross. And then instead of throwing it away, just put it back in the fridge.
No.
We've all done that at least once.
I have not.
I don't believe you.
You should know me better than to do that. I would just put it out on the side and just eventually push it into the bin.
Anyway, despite being 33 years old or thereabouts, Belinda seems to be like a house share.
Yeah. Saying that though, I'm assuming... Do we know where she lives? I'm assuming she's probably towards London. If so,
Yeah, everything kind of happens
Everything's-
around London, doesn't it?
yeah. If so, everything's stupidly expensive. I don't know. Something I wondered. I know a house is a house,
Yeah.
but this has a very similar layout and almost design to Donna's house.
Does it? Oh, I know. You're on about the downstairs.
Yeah.
I thought a similar thing.
I thought, I wonder if it's a neighbour. I wonder.
Oh, right.
I wonder.
I thought you were going to say, I wonder if it's a redress set.
Well, I was also thinking that. But I also thought, well, maybe they're gonna.
There's a moment in just a second that made me think of Donna's house.
Yeah, because like the way it is, because she's in the kitchen,
Yeah.
and even like the fridge is on the same side, and you can
Yeah.
look through to the front.
Yeah, to the front door, and then the stairs are on the right if you're looking at the front door.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then the living room. Yeah,
Yeah.
because they come in through the back door.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get there in a
I'll talk
minute,
about that in a sec. But yeah, she has gross food. She goes to close the fridge, and then one of her flatmates, some guy, like sticks his head out and calls her Linda.
Well, he says, "Don't eat the granola."
Yeah, don't eat the granola. And she's like, it's Belinda, and that wasn't me. It was whoever it was.
Yeah.
And then he says, she said it was you. And then he just like closes the door. So anyway, she goes to bed. You said while we were watching that she sleeps weird.
Yeah, it just made me laugh. The fact that, I mean,
She's like crashed out on the bed, like
Face
on
planted.
top of the duvet.
yeah, on top of the duvet.
Yeah. So she's asleep, and then the house starts shaking like
Yeah.
there's an earthquake. And she wakes up and she looks outside, and there's like a rocket landing. She goes downstairs to investigate, and the pair of robots that you've probably seen from all the marketing stuff, two big bulky like red robots, just smash through the wall
Yeah.
/ door. It's like they try to open the door but don't know how, so they smash through, but they're too wide for the door, so they take out about 10 foot
Yeah.
worth of wall.
Well, I like the fact that there's like a little archway to get into the hallway, and they take that out as well because it's just too big. You just walk through
This
it.
is the bit that reminded me of Donna's house, because I was thinking of that bit in the Star Beast with the Roth warriors
Yeah.
when they show up.
The
and
same-
they're in like the same kind of location.
Yeah.
And it was I
It's a
got
very similar
I
layout.
got that too. Something else I thought was not exactly the same, obviously, because they're a lot bigger and they're red. But these robots remind me of the bots from Smile,
I was thinking the same thing.
because
Yeah.
they're like
Especially
they don't.
because they have a lot of facial expressions. Like,
Yeah, because like obviously the in Smile they're called like the emoji bots or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like even though these bots can talk, they don't have physical faces. They have like LCD screen displays, and they kind of display like happy face, sad face, whatever.
yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. I don't know whether that's intentional or not, but yeah. So anyway, there's two robots. One goes upstairs to grab her certificate off the wall to say that she is the owner of the star. The other one identifies her as Miss Belinda Chandra, turns around and kills a cat.
You probably not enjoyed, but you probably quite enjoyed my face to this.
You didn't look like you were expecting it.
I was in complete shock. I was like, oh my God, he killed a cat.
Yeah. Something else I noticed is, the guns they got? They remind me of, the guns in the Buzz Lightyear ride in
I was
Disneyland.
thinking the same thing. Yeah.
Where you sit in like the spinny chair and you have to fire the targets, and they've
Yeah.
got this weird like rings at the end. Yeah, they remind me
they're
a
like
lot of those.
little laser blasters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They look kind of crap,
Oh, I love
but
them.
like in a way that like not crap as in like, oh, the show's low budget. They look crap as in it's like
Like a little
what-
dinky toy.
what the future probably thought was retro.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like what people in the
This-
future thought people in the past thought the future would look like.
Yeah, this
Does that make
feels
sense?
this feels very like if the 60s, like this the 60s idea of the
Yeah,
future.
like the utopia, like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, like the flying cars, but the cars still look the same as their cars. They just
Yeah.
slightly different.
Yeah, they
and
just don't have
blue.
wheels. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything was like everyone travels through like tram or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, the robots take Belinda outside and they start leading her into the rocket. She somehow has a dressing gown now, I noticed, when she gets outside.
She has a coat.
Is it a coat?
coat,
By the way,
yeah.
she didn't have it in the previous scene and she has it now.
I love the fact they're like, take a coat.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I love the thought of them going, you have to come with us. And she's like, let me just pop upstairs, grab my coat.
Well, it might be downstairs.
I guess, but even then, it's like, yeah, one sec. Just going over to the coat rack. She's kind of losing her marbles a bit as they're leading her towards the rocket. And this is when we see Mrs. Flood, her next door neighbour.
I love this interaction. It made me laugh so much.
Hold on, I was saying that. You said maybe she was a neighbour of Donna. She has to be one of Ruby's neighbours.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Mrs. Flood lives Mrs. Flood apparently lives next door to Belinda.
But saying that, though, does Miss Flood... She doesn't follow normal rules, does she?
But at least it appears that Mrs. Flood is her next door neighbour.
Yeah.
And in Church of Ruby Road, she appeared to be a couple doors down from Ruby, maybe like 4 or 5 doors down.
This made me laugh so much because, one, I love Belinda's thing of like someone at number 7, tell them their cat's gone to a farm.
Yeah.
It's like,
tell them
God.
the cat's gone to a farm. If my parents ask for me, oh God, my parents, tell them I'm being kidnapped by robots. And then Mrs. Flood's response is, you take care, Belinda, dear.
It's so unhinged. I love it so much. And then she breaks the fourth wall.
Oh, yeah. So Belinda and the robots fly off in the rocket. This is when the doctor comes out and he's like calling after Belinda. He's going, Belinda! And then Mrs. Flood sees him, like ducks, like hides behind
like a bush.
The bush, yeah, and goes inside and then turns, looks at the camera and says, you ain't seen me.
He's so unhinged.
How do you feel about the fourth wall breaking?
I'm okay with it.
Were you okay with it when it happened in... Well, I guess first time it happened was the church on Ruby Road. I was very unsure about it then.
I was, but I like the fact that she does it.
But that's me. Even then, even her doing it in that episode, I was like, I don't like that. Then the second time it happened was in The Devil's Court because the doctor winks at the camera.
That I like less, but I like the fact that because we have she's such a mystery.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that she does that, but she's the only person who could.
Yeah, because
the doctor does it.
I think the next time we saw her do it was at the end of Empire of Death, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When she's standing on the... Or was it the Christmas special? Was it Joy to the World?
I can't remember.
It was either Joy to the World or Empire of Death. I think it was Empire of Death. And she was standing on the roof in the snow, and she's got like a big white woolly coat on. And yeah, she says like, "Ooh, little does the doctor know he's gonna, I don't know, die or something." But yeah, this little "you ain't seen me" moment, I kind of like it. I'm like warming to Mrs. Flood breaking the fourth wall.
I'm for it. I just hope
it's exclusive to her.
I hope it's exclusive to her, and I hope I kind of hope we have a reason for it a little bit.
Yeah.
I hope there is something that she does that kind of breaks the fourth wall more and has more of effect. I would love that in a story-wise.
Yeah. But anyway, she ducks off inside, the rocket's taken off and the doctor's in the garden and he yells, Belinda! And then we get our opening titles.
You mentioned it was quite long.
It's quite a long cold open. Normally, I feel like if this were a normal episode, the cold open would have just been that flashback sequence. Or it would have just been the bit at the hospital.
Yeah.
The fact that we get these 3 kind of separate scenes are interesting. But yeah, I know it's pretty much the same from season 1 or series 14. But I still like the opening titles. I think the new theme tune's good. Yeah.
It's a bop.
Yeah, it's pretty good. The piano was a lot more louder in the mix. Yeah. So yeah, back into the episode. The doctor is in the TARDIS. He's chasing after the rocket. Belinda's talking to the robot. She's saying, "You've got the wrong person. I don't know what this is about." Obviously she knows it's something to do with this certificate.
Yeah, and that she's the queen.
Yeah, because when I said the robot identified her, it literally showed her the certificate and said, "You are Miss Belinda Chandra." And she's like, "Yes." He's like, "Identity confirmed." So yeah, she says, you got the wrong person. It was Alan who bought the thing. I haven't seen him for 16 years or whatever. And then...
tell him he owes me 20 quid.
I think it was more than that. I think it was like 50 quid.
Yeah.
Chivalry is dead. Anyway, then we get this weird sense of time distortion. So the time kind of goes weird and she starts kind of reversing and then repeating and then everything starts going weird. Not just for her, but also for the doctor inside the TARDIS. He's going, whoa, and his hands are jumping back and forth.
I initially when I watched this, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
But I'm warming up to it a little bit. After seeing the rest of the episode, I was like, okay, that's fine.
Do you mean the effect? Or just the concept of the time?
The effect. I was like, oh, that's jarring.
Yeah.
And then but later on, I'm like, okay, that's fine. I understand why it was.
Because Doctor Who's never really done much experimenting with its editing.
No, which it did quite a bit in this episode, I think.
Yeah.
Another part which we'll come on to later.
Yes, I know the bit you're talking about, yeah. I I like that bit.
I bet you did. I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Anyway, so I was going to call her Ruby. That's not her name. Belinda in the rocket. Her and the robots land on another planet, and the planet is called Miss Belinda Chandra 1.
Yeah.
So she's walking around. There's this beautiful kind of like skyline.
It is lovely.
There's like other planets in the sky, but at the same time, there are also ships flying around shooting each other.
It feels very like what's it called? Star Wars prequels.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Like before
everything's very like glossy. Nothing looks kind of grimy. Everything looks very futuristic.
Like Cloud City, but
yeah, like Bespin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I nearly called her Ruby again. Belinda. She meets the people representative for the planet. Her name is Sasha 55, and she welcomes her as queen. She says that the Miss Belinda Chandra bots are the overlords, and we all do what they say, basically. And they're in a war, dropping Miss Belinda Chandra bombs.
Which the two of us, it's so horrendous because you can see them because they said, "Oh, there's the rebels," and they're dropping the Miss Belinda Chandra bombs, and you're supposed to be like, "Oh God, that's horrendous," but.
Yeah, it's funny because she says it's so deadpan as if it's like nothing, which does make sense because it comes into play in a minute.
Why are the bombs named after her?
But my question is why are they called Miss Belinda Chandra bombs and not Miss Belinda Chan bombs? Do you know what I mean? Miss Belinda Chan bombs. That makes more sense to me. I don't know. Anyway. Sasha says that the bots must be obeyed, but then she leans in close and kind of whispers, "Please help us." So they go inside and they pass your favourite character of the episode, Polish.
Oh, I love him. I'm going to put this into the world.
Yeah.
Make him Ego Moss.
Make a Lego Polish.
Oh, I love a little Lego Polish.
I want to scale Polish made out of Lego.
I know we're jumping forward a little bit, but when he goes with them, I'm like, yeah, Polish. Yeah.
So for anyone who has, I don't know why you listen to this if you haven't seen it, but Polish is a little kind of, he looks like a Roomba.
Yeah,
he's like a little bot that goes around polishing the floor and hoovering and sucking things up. And if you remember, do you remember Gadget from What Was a Mars? There was a robot in that episode called Gadget, and he used to walk around going, Gadget.
Yeah.
Gadget. And this is obviously just kind of like that.
Yeah, Polish. I love him so much. He's so cute. And he actually comes into...
How many L's are in the word Polish?
1.
I thought it was 1. I've written Polish down, but it looks like Polish. Anyway. The robots tell Belinda to go to the throne that's at the end of this hallway. And there's a line of people on the left and right, and she's now walking down the middle towards the throne at the end. This is when we notice that the Doctor is there. He's actually on the right amongst this sort of like group of people. And when she sits down, she finds out that she's due to be married. She is the Queen Miss Belinda Chandra, and she's getting married to the great AI generator. It was at this point where I thought, I see what this episode's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I'm not going to lie. As soon as they said that, again, I warmed up later on, but as soon as I saw this, I was like, oh no. Please don't do that.
So the bots think that the certificate saying that Belinda owns the star is like a marriage certificate. And she kind of gets this weird like holographic demonstration of what this marriage will entail, which is basically the welding of flesh and machine parts to kind of make Belinda part of the machine, I guess.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Because I was wondering at this point in time whether we were going to get a Cyberman.
Oh, I see. To be honest, that never crossed my head.
I was like, I wonder if we're going to get Cybermen at the end of this. Whether this will be like another...
Oh, yeah, like another branch of them.
Another branch of them. Kind of sad we didn't, but also kind of glad we had something different.
Yeah, I feel like I like it. I would have liked it less if it was a Cyberman story in the end.
That's fair enough.
Yeah. So, but Belinda's asking all these questions. Where am I? What the hell's going on? Why are you doing this? And Sasha says she'll call the historian over to explain. And at this point, the Doctor steps forward. He's wearing a different outfit now.
I love this.
This is his third outfit of the episode, by the way.
Like, I love this.
Because when he was looking for Belinda in the hospital, he was wearing like a tartan kind of like jumper.
No, he was wearing a tartan bomber jacket.
Sure, it was tartan anyway.
I think he was wearing that over the top of, I'm not sure what the name, it's like a tunic. It's like a dress, isn't it?
Are you thinking of the blue one?
The blue one,
No,
yeah.
that's a different outfit.
No, yeah, I think he's wearing that underneath the bomber jacket.
Is he? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, all I know is when he was looking for her in the hospital, I saw the tartan kind of like red and yellow striped kind of top he had on. And then when he was at her house calling for her after she was kidnapped, he was wearing like the denim kind of
the
tunic thing.
With the t-shirt.
Yeah, and now he's dressed in kind of like white and brown.
It's like a linen almost.
Yeah.
Very like airy and light, and I just like the design of this.
I'd say this is his third outfit of the episode. I'll tell you what's interesting, and this isn't about this episode in particular, but obviously about his era in general. When I heard that he was going to be having a variety of outfits, I was on board for it, and I thought, I like the idea of having kind of a fashionable doctor and a doctor who mixes his style up all the time. The only thing was, I was quite sad that was going to come at the expense of having what I would call a recognizable silhouette.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I could give you any of the previous doctors, black them out so you can't see just so you can just see the outline, and you will be able to tell me who it is.
Yeah.
Even though Shooty changes his outfits up a lot, I feel like he's still got one with that long kind of leather coat he's got.
Yeah.
So I feel like we've had the best of both worlds out of this.
I agree, because it's one of those things that it would be hard if we didn't have that. That if you wanted to, say, for Halloween, or if you wanted to do like a cosplay,
You're trying to be like, yeah, I'm the 15th Doctor in this one episode. No, I'm the 15th Doctor in this one scene in this one episode.
Yeah, and
I'm
then,
him when he's looking for Belinda in the hospital.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it'd be harder to recognise you as that character.
Yes.
Whereas, like, do you mean, even if you don't intend that, if you're wearing, a long trench coat and a pair of Converse and a pair of trousers, do you know what I mean?
I can't tell if him switching his outfit up all the time is good or bad for merchandising. Because part of me thinks it's good because they can sell more action figures.
Yeah, different outfits.
However,
I
remember seeing like they did a Pudsey Bear as the 10th Doctor, and he was like Pudsey with 3D glasses on and the suit and the trench coat.
Yeah.
And that would be quite hard to do if he doesn't have one distinctive outfit. Do you know what I mean?
That's true. But I that idea of like having like a little action doll with all these different outfits.
Or one doll and you switch the outfit on the doll rather than just buying different figures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Anyway, so the Doctor comes forward and he proceeds to basically tell Belinda the history of Miss Belinda Chandra 1.
I love this scene.
But there's one thing I wish it didn't do.
I know exactly what you're going to say. I wish this played out a little bit more and became, because this works, but the reason why it was a thing, I wish had been gone into more detail.
Yeah, I understand that. Obviously, that's more towards the end. But anyway, like I say, he's telling her the history of the planet, but he kind of seems to be placing random words here and there into his speech. And then she basically works out, he's kind of speaking in code to her that the robots can't hear, for some reason, every 9th word. Yeah. So he's talking to her and then we'll just say robots, like out of context, and then speak some more and then say can't. And then, my gripe with this, I like this whole thing a lot. I just wish we didn't have the episode do the editing thing. Where it spells it out for you. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Feel like, because you could have not done that. She obviously works it out, and then you see her think, and then she starts talking to him slowly, and she's counting the words on her fingers. Yeah, so you could... And then you see when she says the 9th word, she says, gotcha. And then you see the Doctor smile. I feel like that's enough. Do you know what I mean? Because then really attentive viewers feel like they would have been rewarded for that. And even if you don't manage to catch it, you feel like the fact that he's placing random words, I feel like her counting on her fingers gets it across. It's enough. That you could have been like, she stopped at 8, she said gotcha for 9, and then you could go back and be like, oh, do you know what I mean? I feel like it just spells it out a bit too much. Yeah. Now, it does this again later. I feel like that one's fine. I doubt, again, we'll get there when we get there, but I feel like that one's fine. That editing to reveal the thing is okay there, but I wish it wasn't here.
I
at
agree.
This point.
Because the way whereas later it's less obvious, whereas...
Yeah. It's kind of revealed to be like a twist ending, isn't it?
Yeah, whereas the Doctor quite clearly in his tone is making it clear that, he'll
He's
be saying something like
words.
this and then he'll be like, robots.
Yeah, it's not like he's slipping the words naturally into his conversation.
Yeah.
Which is what happens in the end.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like do it later, don't do it here. That's how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Anyway, at this point, the Doctor tells the rebels to attack, and there's this big kind of firefight that happens where all the people standing in a row pull out guns and start shooting at the robots. The robots are shooting back, and the Doctor grabs Belinda, and he kind of takes her to cover. So they're hiding, and so they don't get hit, I guess. Something I noticed here is when the robots kill people, we obviously saw it with the cat earlier, but we see it more now. The effect of people getting hit by their gun is very similar to the Daleks' laser blast.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah, because how they kind of fall and then their outline.
Yeah, so you kind of see
second.
you see the skeletons and stuff, and they kind of go like negative. I kind of like this more though, because what the Daleks can do is say you get shot by a Dalek, you obviously fall to the floor.
Yeah.
And whilst you're falling to the floor, you kind of go negative and you see the skeleton. Where with this, you almost kind of freeze in place.
Yeah. And
so it's like if you get shot and you fall over, your body kind of freezes in midair.
And then you just...
Yeah, and then you kind of like poof into dust. I don't know, there's something just a bit special about the fact that you freeze instead of just falling naturally. I find quite interesting. Not that it's of any consequence, but...
I agree. I like it.
So at this point, the Doctor introduces himself. Sasha rocks up and she says, "Hey, you can trust this man. I only met him like 6 months ago, but I've learned to trust him with my life." This is when Belinda says, like, basically, "You need to get me out of here." And Sasha says, "Yeah, Doctor, take her home, then take me to the stars." And at this point, we were both like, "She's dead."
Connor literally turned to me and went, "She's gonna die." And then she does. It was like, I do wish that
anyone the Doctor promises to go travelling with, if it's not at the end of the adventure, it's too late. It's too late for you. I'm sorry.
I do wish that we don't have this. Do you know what I mean? I wish that it's so obvious now.
Yeah.
That maybe it's because we look, the way we've been looking into Doctor Who.
I don't think so. I feel like even a casual viewer could have pieced this together.
I wish we didn't have that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's not that it's like you're watching the whole episode knowing she's going to die because she dies in like 10 seconds time.
Yeah, but I wish, I don't know, whether something was said, not like, then take me to the stars, with something was said, and then later on we find out that he was going to, and that what she said had a different meaning. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I feel like that would have been a bit more.
If she just said something that maybe in the moment implied that there was more to their relationship than we understood.
Yeah.
And then we find out later that...
like a little thing between them.
Yeah,
kind
that
of thing.
He was going to take her away. Yeah, I agree. Because then maybe that would have made the moments where he starts crying, I feel like that would have been a bit more impactful then. Because there would be more... Because we know less.
Yeah.
I feel like it leaves... It implies that there was more to their relationship.
Yeah.
Because as it is at the moment, I just get the impression that they were both just kind of in the same boat because she's a rebel and he happened to be there early.
Yeah.
Where, if that was the case, then...
If she'd said, I know, like, she'd mentioned, I know, like a planet that we hadn't heard of before.
Yeah.
And then, I know, Belinda asked the Doctor about that later on. And then we had that scene where, he cries and then states, that was where I promised I'd take her after this.
Yeah. No, I agree. So right now she says, take her home, then take me to the stars. Belinda and the Doctor run for, behind cover for another wall. Sasha runs to kind of join them and then get shot. Yeah. It's literally like 10 seconds passes by. The Doctor does kind of scream and he seems visibly upset by this rather than just a no. He does seem actually kind of like Shooty's great. He seems like he's actually kind of shaken by this. But then they run round the corner to what I assume is like a teleporter or something.
Yeah.
But before they disappear, they wait for the other rebels to rock up, because there's another like 3 of them that have survived that are coming round.
And then my boy.
And then your boy,
Polish.
comes round.
Literally, I saw Connor can vouch for this. He came around the corner and I literally went, "Oh, I hope he gets on that trans mat." And he does.
Get him, boy, get on.
Go on, quick.
Yeah, he gets on there. And then they teleport somewhere else. The Doctor kind of smashes the weird orb thing that he used to control it. He says so they can't follow us. There's this one rebel who's weirdly like antagonistic this whole episode.
What, the blonde guy?
The guy who does, like with no sleeves. I can't remember what colour his hair was. He's wearing no sleeves. He says to Belinda, "You better be worth it."
Yeah, the blonde guy.
Yeah.
Like Ajax, no, or something like that. I can't. It begins with like an A.
I think it begins with an M.
It might do. I don't know.
Manny, something like that. I feel like his name was.
Are you on about the guy that like he comes down from the ceiling and then harpoons?
Yeah. I think his name was Manny.
I can't remember, but yeah.
But yeah, he says like, "You better be worth it." Belinda gets like angry. And says like, "Hey, this isn't my fault." The Doctor is actually now taking a moment to step back. This is where he starts crying. Insert complaint about Doctor crying every episode, I guess.
Yeah, I know.
Let's move on. Yeah, he picks up Polish and he turns him off. So
he's like, "Hello, little guy."
Yeah, he says, "Oh, I'm so sorry, but you know, I have to do this so we can't be tracked."
Yeah.
Shuts him off and then puts him down. The Doctor starts scanning the certificate that Belinda has.
Well, this is what I found quite interesting because when the AI generator is showing Belinda on the screen, her certificate, the Doctor like pulls his sonic out of his pocket and like you can see on the bottom of the screen it says record.
Yes.
So he's recording it.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's scanning Belinda's certificate right now.
Yeah.
While she goes around and starts taking care of people in the thing. Again, I like it. Martha was kind of the same, but I like that
I like how direct approach she has. She doesn't even think about it. She's like, that drip is empty. Where's the solution?
Martha was quite similar, not so much like with the drip, but there were moments like where people were injured and Rose would say to the Doctor, "What do we do, Doctor?" Where Martha would just go and help them, and she would. There's a moment here where Belinda helps a guy who's got like a dislocated shoulder.
She just resets.
Yeah,
it.
and she's like,
even the Doctor's like, wow.
But she doesn't just say that. She's smart because she asks the Doctor first. She says, "Our shoulders here the same as shoulders on Earth?" And he's like, "More or less, why?" And then he just goes and just cracks his shoulder back.
And even the Doctor's like, "Yeah."
So she's proactive. She's smart. She's got agency, but she's also smart enough to actually
think
and say, maybe I just need to clarify this so I don't like break you.
Yeah, because I can't remember. This is because after this, then we see the thing where they say about the people here have the different digestive systems.
Yeah. But I like. I didn't make a note, but I kind of made a mental note at this point. Bear in mind we're maybe like halfway into the episode or something like that, and I made a note at this point in my head thinking I like her a lot.
I agree.
I already feel like I know more about her than I do about Ruby.
I agree. I like the fact that she's headstrong and she's confident, but not like in like, egotistically.
Yeah, not in an annoying way.
Yeah, she's like, she knows what to do in a situation. And we see this later on.
You talk about her being like confident and sure of herself, and there's a moment right at the end of the episode, which I really liked with this. Which, let's say, not to jump ahead, but just there's a lot of these moments where I feel like she displays a strong sense of character.
I agree.
And I think, I'm looking forward to see what she does in the rest of the series because I think she's really good. So, she's taking care of these injured people. This is when we kind of have this flashback, which, again, I don't think this flashback's necessary either because it comes up later, but he remembers Mundy Flynn from Boom, obviously played by Varada Sethu as well. And he kind of remembers like, hey, you look a lot like that person I met before. Because this comes up later, I don't necessarily think this is
I agree.
needed here. unless it's just to give the audience a recap.
Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So the guy whose shoulder she fixes, she pulls like a blanket onto him, and then she finds out that they're X-ray blankets.
I love this.
That's a great idea.
It's a great idea, and the effect is really cool. I love this.
Yeah, it's cool. It looks great, and I think because she sees it and she goes, oh, and she like jumps back, and the doctor goes, it's okay, it's X-ray blankets, and then she goes, oh, and she panics again. He goes, no radiation.
Again, just I love the fact that this is so for me. The fact that
you like sci-fi when it's hard, which is funny. Because you like sci-fi when it's got the rules, when it abides by real-life logic and stuff. But at the same time, the reason you like the Moffat era more than the Russell era is because it's more fairy tale and doesn't stick to real-life rules.
Yeah, but in the sense of it has its own rules. Like, even if it's not completely right, if you give me a somewhat reason for things, do you mean we don't need to know how those blankets work?
Yeah.
But the fact that they work and the doctor has confirmed that it doesn't use radiation, or there is no radiation effect from it. Do you mean that in itself? You go, okay.
This is little bits of world building, isn't it?
It's world building, but it's that kind of thing of like, of course you would use them as blankets because they can stay on there as long as you want. Do you mean you don't have to worry about...
You don't have to put them into like an MRI, or you don't
have to worry about the impact of the radiation upon the patient, having them there for too long.
Insert meme about doctor saying, it's okay, completely safe, runs into a different room.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this is when the doctor pulls up another X-ray blanket and he puts it over himself to show that he's got two hearts. He says he's from a different planet.
Kylie reference here. Did you get it?
Yeah, padam.
Padam.
Yeah. Again, this is the second time that the 15th Doctor has referenced that he likes Kylie.
Yeah. Are we surprised? I'm almost certain Russell is very openly known as a massive Kylie fan.
I thought you say a massive gay.
No, a massive Kylie.
The gays love Kylie.
They do.
Yeah.
To be fair, she is brilliant.
Yeah. But again, this is our second 15th Doctor reference to Kylie, our second reference to Kylie in 2 seasons, and our second reference to Kylie since Kylie was in the show.
I know, yeah. I know this is a side tangent, but I would have loved to seen Russell like working with Kylie. I would have loved to see his face be like, it's Kylie.
When I was reading The Writer's Tale, I read him suggesting Kylie as a joke about being in Voyage of the Damned, and then when he found out like he got the okay to like invite her to dinner to give her the offer, and he's like so excited.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love that.
Yeah. Apparently she really enjoyed her time on set.
I wonder if she'd come back, because she's fair play. She seems like she's
having a bit of a, I don't know, resurgence, isn't she?
Yeah, I know she's obviously released the album with Padam Padam on.
Padam Padam is old, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, 3 years old?
No, not old. I thought that was like early noughties.
No.
Is it not?
That's new, yeah. It's new Kylie, yeah.
Yeah, well.
Come on, Carter.
I'm sorry, I'm not the biggest Kylie fan.
Yeah, no, it's new.
I don't know if I could name 3 Kylie songs.
Oh, come on, surely.
Honestly, other than Padam Padam and Can't Get You Out of My Head, I don't know if I could name another one.
I'm in shock. Okay, well.
Name one.
I can't.
Okay. Oh yeah, you're so right to be in shock.
Yeah, but I could sing you many.
Okay.
I cannot name. You could ask me to name my favourite artist.
She's been around a while now, isn't she?
Yeah. Well, she was in Neighbours, wasn't she, initially?
Yeah.
And then
apparently they become good friends.
Boo.
Boo. What were we talking about? Oh, he just held the X-ray blanket up to his
we're all
chest.
about Padam Padam. Yeah.
Padam Padam.
I like the fact that she sees it and then again it's like, do you mind? And then listens.
Yeah, she
like,
wants
weird.
confirmation. Yeah, she's like, oh man, weird.
And she's like, what are you?
Again, there's a moment, isn't there, in Smith and Jones when the doctor's in bed pretending to be a sick person, and Martha puts the stethoscope to him and she hears the heart, and then she moves it to the other side of his chest and can hear the second heart. And there's that moment they don't say anything, but she looks like what the and then the doctor just like smiles at her. So we got these kind of like through lines. But even then though, there's a lot of similarities in this, Belinda and Martha feel like very different people.
And I love that because I feel like the main issue I have with Martha is that I feel like she had so much potential
Yeah.
and that her storyline held her back so much. So I'm hoping that the potential that she would have had, we're now going to see in Belinda.
Yeah, that's fair. The Doctor says that he met someone who told him that Belinda would be important. Now, I find this interesting because this never gets resolved in this episode.
No, it doesn't. I know, I thought the same thing.
He says he told me you would be important. Who is he? We don't know.
No.
I assume that's going to come into play later, and I hope that's not just a mistake that wasn't fixed in a draft.
Oh, no.
I'm hoping that's teasing something. I think of that as like, when Clara says like, I got your number from the woman in the shop or whatever.
Yeah.
I hope it's like one of those scenarios that'll come back later. But yeah, he says he met someone that said she'd be important. She says, no, I'm not important. And again, this was the first time I thought Donna. Because that was the whole thing, wasn't it? With Donna saying she's brilliant. The Doctor saying she's brilliant. She's like, no, I'm not. I'm nothing special. And always putting herself down. Yeah, they start talking about this whole kind of situation, and the Doctor says that the AI generator has the same diploma that she's got, but from a different point in time.
Yeah.
Because it's got the same tier. That's what you were scanning earlier. So it's not just another one, it's the same one from a different point in time. He asked how long ago it's been since she was kidnapped. She says, I don't know, about 2 hours ago. He said that was 6 months for me.
Because he was saying that obviously he said, I was following you, I was running out the house, and she's like looking at him like, why were you in my house? Why were you following me?
Yeah. He says when they kidnapped you, did something weird happen? And she says, yeah, the shwoop shwoop.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah.
Yeah, the shwoop. He says the timelines are out of sync. So he was chasing after her, but he got here a bit early, 6 months early. He said it took him a long time to become the historian, so he could be in the throne room when she arrived. Again, what I like about the 15th Doctor is that he's happy to wait.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's been so many things, isn't there? It was a big...
Go to the world, are you thinking, or something else?
Well, yeah, obviously it comes up there, but I was thinking earlier incarnations, in particular, the 11th Doctor was very impatient.
Yeah.
And did not like to wait. Do you know what I mean? There's that whole bit in The Power of Three, isn't there, where he's like painting a fence and he's doing like keepy uppies, and then he's doing a bunch of stuff. He's like, how long's it been? About 45 minutes? He goes, oh God.
I mean 10 is exactly the same though.
But that's what, so many versions of this character are so frenetic and so like impatient because they're so used to whipping around in the time machine that they're not used to living life in a linear order. Again,
they can't stay still.
When the Doctor considers in Girl in the Fireplace, when he's like, oh my God, I'm going to have to live a life. I'm going to have to get money. How'd you get money? Do you know, and he's like, he's never even considered it. Where, yeah, between like Joy to the World and, just like here as well, he's very happy to like, oh no, I'm going to have to stay here a year. Okay. And he'll just do it. And he'll just make friends along the way because he'll do what he needs to do to get it done.
Maybe that's why. Maybe because this Doctor, I mean, the others are, but this one's so personable that he can easily make friends.
Yeah.
He's
I
so
can't imagine.
likeable. Like, how could you not like him?
You know him staying in the Sandringham Hotel in Joy to the World for 12 months, working with Anita.
You imagine he was Eccleston.
I was saying, can you imagine Capaldi? I can imagine Capaldi more than Eccleston.
I can, yeah. You can imagine this the janitor. Like,
just imagine the 9th Doctor just working in this hotel.
Yeah, no. Or the 10th. Can you imagine the 10th? I can't imagine 10th Doctor at all. I think he would.
I think he's personable enough that he'd get on with people, but he'd be way too impatient to stay there for 12 months.
He wouldn't even stay there for 12 hours. Do you know what I mean? He'd be like, okay, cute, I'll come back. I'll go travelling for a year.
Yeah. Yeah, so like I say, he got this 6 months early. He kind of worked his way up to be historian so he could be in the throne room when she arrived. He says that the robots got the diploma from the future, but because of the shwoop shwoop, the time distortion, it caused them to arrive 5,000 years earlier. He said that the diploma became like a foundational myth and kind of became, I don't know, some kind of like religious symbol, I guess.
Yeah.
So Belinda says, like, wait, I've seen films about this. If you get two things from different periods of time to, like, touch, don't they, like, explode?
And he's like, yeah.
And he's like, yes. He says, if you get two atoms in the same space twice, the laws of time say no. So they essentially need these two diplomas to touch, the one that they have and the one that the AI generator has. At this point, there's, like, an earthquake. And Is it like a cave or something that they're in? I can't quite tell.
It's like tunnel.
Yeah. But it starts shaking.
We see it's like this shooting above. They're like,
Yeah.
we don't know, it's bombing or something.
Belinda goes over to where they came from and she turns on Polish.
Yeah. Because, well, the guy, I'm going to call him A because I can't remember his name.
Pretty sure his name's Manny.
Are you sure?
I'm 60% sure.
Okay. Well, Annie. A.
Tank top guy.
Tank top guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he makes more comments, doesn't he?
Yeah, because he has a go at her, saying it's her fault, and the doctor says, like, no, it's not her fault, and she says, hey, I don't need you to fight my battles for me, and then she stands up to him and goes, it's not my fault.
Yeah. I do like the fact that that's also the case. Do you mean she's very independent in that way. Maybe that will be a downfall, but I do like that. But yeah, so and then we have the bombing above, and he's kind of holding up part of the ceiling.
Yes.
And you can see the other members are kind of covering the injured. And you can see the realization on her face that she knows how to kind of get them out of this situation.
Yeah. So she goes over and turns on Polish. When we go back, we see that the doctor wants to access the memory banks of wherever they are, because he says it'll have a record of what went wrong. He says that people and robots were friends for centuries, but around 10 years ago, something went wrong, and this massive war started. At this point, the robots locate them, and they bash the walls in, and they all kind of start firing, and Belinda says, I did this, and everyone's like, no, you didn't, and she says, no, I did this.
And even the doctor's like, what have you done?
Yeah, the doctor says, what have you done? Yeah, so she's obviously turned on Polish, and they were able to track it to find them. But yeah, she says, they've come for me. I just want to stop people from dying, basically. So she tells the robots to leave the rebels alone, and then she'll go with them freely, which they do. So they take,
This next bit I liked because I was very much... Because they take her to...
The AI generator.
The AI generator.
Yeah.
And then I see the doctor's with her. And for a moment, I was like, why is the doctor with her?
Yeah.
And then they explain it. He's a historian. He has to view history. He has to be
present, yeah.
And I was like, this is very smart. Yes. I like this
well
a
done,
lot.
Russell.
This is very good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So she starts talking to the AI generator, and the machine basically says it wants to join with her. And become one or whatever. She says to the doctor, look, I'm going to do this and maybe I can lead it to peace, essentially. Maybe I can stop the war when I'm a part of it. So she turns to the robots and she says, I'm going to do this, but I want you to stop the war afterwards. I want you to stop fighting. And they pretty much say, yeah.
Yeah.
She says, I also want you to remember me as Belinda. Drop the miss.
Yeah.
And then as she starts walking towards the machine, the AI generator says, are you married? And she kind of stops and she's like, wait.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, that's what he said. And the casing kind of opens up and it reveals Alan. Did you see this coming?
I didn't.
I didn't either. Also, he looks horrible.
I love this because even if we saw him, I probably would have put it together a bit, would have had more chance of putting it together.
Yeah.
However, he looks so different.
He does, yeah.
That I wouldn't have gone, that's Alan. The effects on him are brilliant. And especially because we see his upper half.
Yeah, so it looks like he doesn't have any body below the waist anymore. He's kind of plugged into the machine.
But that's the thing, we don't see that until it pulls out. So he's talking to her initially, and it's kind of shoulders up, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we don't know.
And his face is all metal and silver, and
it's his eyes and his mouth are kind of the same, but everything else. And it's such a cool. I love the practical.
For someone who's so machine focused, he's still got such perfect teeth.
Yeah.
I found that very distracting. I was like, man, his teeth are so straight and so white.
But yeah, and the fact it's so creepy and weird.
He looks so off-putting.
He looks so off-putting and so uncomfortable as well.
Yeah, but he seems to be relishing it. He seems to be loving it. And this is when the doctor goes, "Oh, it's not AI,
It's Al."
Which is funny because I like the idea of that. In my head, that joke works. If I read this script, that joke works on paper because he thought that lowercase l was an uppercase I. But no, it is an uppercase L, but when the case is closed, it covers the bottom.
Yeah.
It's such a clunky way of doing the same thing.
I love it so much.
Yeah. She says to him something like, "Does it hurt?" And he says he is beyond pain.
Again, when I heard this, I was like, Cyberman. Cyberman.
Yeah. He says the robots came for him in the middle of the night. And this is when she realizes that this is her fault. She told them to get him when she was on the ship. She says, "It wasn't me, or you got the wrong person, it's Alan you want, he bought this thing." And she gives them his full name. And does she even tell him like where he lived? I can't remember. But like,
I mean, they found out where she lived just by her name.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But she basically realizes she dobbed him in, so the robots came to get him. But because of the time fracture, it caused him to arrive 10 years prior. We obviously get the impression, because when they capture him, he's like gaming.
Yeah, he's like, oh.
So when they're bringing him to the place where they landed, and he's like, "So it's like a game with like lasers and robots and stuff."
I said, and I control it all. They're like,
Yeah. And he seems very happy about it.
He does, yeah.
We get the impression that this guy loves control. He loves power. And we find out he basically started the revolution. He even like kills a guy for no reason. There's that bit where he's sat in the chair he's in now and he's got some wires plugged into his hand.
Because they're curious. They're saying this.
They say like, "We welcome you."
Yeah. They're saying this technology is quite advanced for even, us.
Yeah. And he says, "Do you mind?" And then Alan says, "Yes, actually, I do mind. Kill him."
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's just lunatic.
Yeah.
He clearly just was playing with people's lives. I guess it was so detached from his world that he just saw it all as a game.
Yeah.
So the doctor asks why why Belinda finished with him in the first place. And this is when she says that we get this flashback where he like proposed to her, which you think would be sweet, but he says, "Oh, and when we're married, you need to stop wearing such tight clothes and no more texting after 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, the tight clothes thing, I know that's a thing that people say. People are like, "Hey, if we're going to be in a relationship, it makes me feel, I don't know, insecure, whatever, that other people might be checking you out." I can understand why people,
would even if
would
you're
have
nuts,
that mindset.
Yeah.
The no texting after 8 p.m. thing is nuts to me.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
I've never heard that before. That's weird. But obviously she says no, because he was always correcting her. He was always tutting and like rolling his eyes. So she's looking at him now in the present, finding out that he's just a lunatic that just loves killing people. And she says, "How can you live with yourself?" And the doctor says he can't. And this is when we get our second reveal. So as Alan is talking, there's this little kind of like timer next to him. And every time he says a word, it kind of ticks in like a full circle. And it's like an 8-part loop. And the doctor says, his brain interfaces with the machine in an 8-part loop. So every 9th word, his mind is free. And this is when we get the reveal that everything he said so far, we get this kind of montage of him saying, "Help me, save me, pain." Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrifying.
Again, very, very Cyberman.
Yeah, it is a little bit. But this is where I feel like that's a good moment to use that editing technique where we cut the words together. I don't think it was needed earlier, but this is where I think it works because the words are so naturally woven into his dialogue that you wouldn't pick it up.
Yeah, I agree.
So I like this. I think that's a good reveal. But he says this is the perfect marriage, her mind and his mind joined. And then this is probably my least favourite line in the episode.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
Where she looks at him and just says, "Planet of the incels."
Yeah.
Like, Russell, I got it.
Yeah.
I didn't need you to spell it out for me. No. I got it. I understood what you were doing.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I think everybody got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I completely agree. I heard that and my eyes kind of rolled a little bit. I was like, oh, come on.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, conceptually, I find this really interesting, and it's an interesting thing for Doctor Who to tackle.
I agree, especially because it is quite a large issue currently.
Yeah, and with, like, more and more of our lives being online, it's an issue that only gets worse.
Yes.
So yeah, I think it's important to tackle it, and I think it tackled it well in the sense of this didn't feel like a politically heavy episode. I didn't feel like I was being lectured.
Yeah.
But this line was just a bit on the nose. Like, I got it. I didn't need this.
I didn't watch it, and this will be completely off tangent, but, you know, when wouldn't we? Obviously, a TV series, from what I've been told, has recently come out and has done very well, which also covered this topic.
You about
adolescence, yeah. And I think that is, do you mean, I know it's more, but that was done in a better way than this just being like Planet of the Incels.
I mean, to be fair, Adolescence was a 4-part mini-series that was following like one character. But yeah, I mean, if anyone hasn't watched Adolescence, I'm sure you have because it was on Netflix and everything on Netflix blows up. So I'm sure you have. But if you haven't, definitely watch it. It was 4 episodes. It's really easy to get through and it was very, very good.
I wouldn't say it's really easy to get through. I haven't watched it, but I've heard it's pretty heavy.
No, I mean, it's only 4 episodes. It's not as if you have to commit.
Consumable in the sense.
You don't have to commit to like 5 seasons of television. Do you know what I mean? You can whack it out in an evening if you want to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I've heard, well, again, little side tangent. Apparently, I'd heard rumours they were looking at making a season 2.
Wow. How not necessary.
I know, I thought the same thing. But carry on anyway.
Yeah. I would just say that, recommend that.
But I think maybe that in itself, you know, for me, having heard about everything about that and then seeing this, and again, it is very relevant. Yeah. But I think you don't have to, you know.
Yeah, we didn't need that spelt out.
Yeah.
Like, we've got the media literacy skills to work
agree.
that out for ourselves. But yeah, so she basically says she's got no choice. The doctor says, "Don't do this." His anger will just go on and on.
Yeah.
So at this point, he drops the diploma on the floor, and Polish comes over.
My boy.
And he scoops it up.
He does.
And then he like whizzes over to the other side of the room.
I love how he rolls it up as well.
Yeah, so he goes over to Belinda, and she picks it up, and she sort of squats down and opens the back of Polish. And while it was lying flat when he scooped it up, it's now rolled over and it's got like an elastic band around it.
Yeah. He's such a good boy.
So she picks up the diploma and she says to Alan, "I'm sorry." And then she kind of touches the 2 certificates together. Mm-hmm. And then this is where we get this really kind of like trippy sequence.
Yeah, when I was watching this, I thought, this is very new for Doctor Who. This is quite...
Yeah, so this is...
I don't know how you would... Quite artsy.
Yeah, so obviously the idea here at play is that since these 2 objects from... It's the same object, but from different periods of time have touched each other. It's kind of like, you know, in Father's Day when Rose holds herself as a baby. Yeah. It's kind of like that. But this time, instead of summoning the Reapers, we kind of get this side effect of experiencing... These 3 characters, so the Doctor, Belinda, and Alan, we kind of see them together, and we're experiencing all of their life at the same time.
Yeah.
So we get the sequence where, like, Belinda's kind of like standing there, and then it like flashes to her as an old woman, and then it flashes to her as like a baby, and then we see Alan like falling, like not looking metal anymore, but looking like he did in the beginning, and then it flashes, and then he's like a boy, like 8 years old or something, and then he's an old man, and then the Doctor's there in the middle, kind of like watching all this happen, and it's a really different kind of like trippy editing style. But I love this.
I'm not surprised. This is very you. This is something I would have expected you to really like.
Yeah. I just like stuff like... I like it when something's edited in a way to make you feel how the characters are supposed to feel. Yeah. It's very easy to just stick a camera in a room and just have the actor say their lines and just call it a day. But
it actually fits as well because, do you mean, it would be jarring to go through it. So...
Yeah, the fact that when you're watching it, you're like, whoa, what the hell's happening? Like, that's what these characters would be doing.
Yeah.
So, I just like it when anything, like films or TV or whatever, actually uses the medium it's in to its advantage. Yeah. And I don't think Doctor Who does it enough. So, yeah, big thumbs up for me, like this.
Yeah.
So the Doctor pulls Belinda away from Alan, And he says to her that she needed a Time Lord to take the impact of that.
Yeah.
He says, I went through your life like a bullet. And he says, you and me, we go way back. Now, I don't know what that means.
He's
but
done an anti-Clara.
Yeah, I'm assuming this is going to come into play at some point. Yeah, because in one of those flashes we get is him holding her as a baby, isn't it? Yeah. So I'm assuming that's going to come back later at some point. But yeah, he's kind of entered her time stream, I guess. Alan's gone. He's no longer in the machine. So Belinda asks where he went, and the doctor scans with the sonic, and he says he's microscopic, a sperm and an egg.
And then Polish comes up, and I love their reaction. You're like, oh God, oh no. And Polish is like, Polish, and it just sweeps him up and goes off.
It's funny because the immediate reaction is, oh. And then the doctor just starts laughing his head off, which I'm thinking like, doctor, that's still a dude.
Well, not anymore.
It's a dude that's just been erased from life.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. So now we kind of cut back to that area where the rocket landed in the beginning. The robots are free from Alan, and they make peace with the people, the Miss Belinda Chandra kind.
Yeah, I must mention something here, because I mentioned it when we were watching it. So after this all happens with the time streams, and then Alan becomes a sperm and an egg, the robots are still standing on the bridge, and their facial expressions are so funny. They're just like a little O-shaped mouth, like
it's like, you know when you do like the emoji where you do like a colon and then a zero to make it look like he's got an open mouth. They're just doing that.
Started it. I love these robots so much. Like this one bit when they're fighting and they got little angry expressions.
Yes, eyebrows.
Yeah, and then they got like little happy expressions. I love them.
Yeah, so the robots and the people have made peace. The robots bring the Doctor's TARDIS back. And there's a moment here where the Doctor's like loving it, and he's going over and he's like touching the TARDIS. He's like, how are you doing, girl? Yeah, he's kissing it. And Belinda says, is that your TARDIS? How does she know? Now, there's a part of me where I'm like, did the Doctor reference the TARDIS earlier and I've forgotten? Or is there a moment when the Doctor went into her time stream, maybe she picked something up as well?
Maybe.
I'm going to have to rewatch and see if he mentions it at some point. Because I'm like, he either mentioned it.
Did you not notice this on the rewatch? I thought you would have...
I noticed this the first time.
And when you watched it the second time, did you not keep an eye out for it?
No, because I forgot. Because again, I was writing down like the progression of events. But
yeah, I don't think it, from what I can remember, I don't think it ever was mentioned.
I can't remember if he mentioned it like when he was talking about following the ship. I can't remember if he says like, I was following in my TARDIS or something.
Maybe.
Or whether...
Oh.
I can't remember.
No, because she saw him out the window, didn't she?
Yeah, she saw the TARDIS, but I can't remember if he referred to it by name.
Maybe not, but either way.
So I'm going to have to check that out, because if he didn't, then something's going on there. If not, then this tangent is irrelevant. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I also thought that, though, when I watched it.
Yeah. This is when the people are talking to the Doctor and they say that they're going to rename the building to Citadel of Sasha 55.
Yeah, which is a nice little...
Yeah, that's nice. The Doctor, he takes a moment to kind of take it in and he says thank you. And then we get our obligatory new companion reaction to the TARDIS interior.
Yeah.
She did a rose this time.
She did.
She went in, looked at it, said, nah, and then ran back outside and did a loop of the TARDIS.
And then went back in.
Yeah. So they kind of take off together. And she says to the Doctor, you need to get me home. So he says, no need to rush. It's a time machine. We can go do whatever. And then, I can drop you back from before you even left.
And then he scans her. This is what I quite like, this interaction.
What he says first, he says, there's something connecting us. And this is when he tells her about Mundy, and he scans her, and then he brings her up on the screen and he shows her a picture of Mundy, and he says, this is your descendant from the 51st century or whatever.
Yeah.
And she's like amazed at first, and she's like, what, that's like 3,000 years time? And then she says, wait, are you saying it's like destiny? And then she says, is that what you say to all the girls?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Because before she said that, when she said... when he started saying to her, it's something pulling us together, I was like, oh god, here we go. But what she literally says, is that what you say to all the girls? 100%.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, like Clara, like the impossible girl. Amy's the girl who waited. Rose, Donna.
The only person who didn't was
Martha. Yeah.
Poor Martha.
And Bill, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The doctor's always like, oh, there's something pulling us together.
Yeah.
It's like destiny.
Is Capaldi the only person who didn't do that?
Technically, because most of Capaldi's era, he inherited Clara, didn't he?
Yeah, he inherited her.
Yeah.
I love the idea. Like in the will to this doctor, you get Clara.
Yeah. So the doctor's all happy. He's like, oh, we're going to go on adventures. And Belinda says, Sasha trusted you, and she died.
Oh.
And she says, you're dangerous. You tested my DNA without my permission.
Yeah.
And he actually looks shaken. Like, while she's telling him this, he actually, like, it's not as if he doesn't like being called out. It's as if, like,
he didn't expect it.
He didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
But where, like, the 10th Doctor would kind of go sulking, I think, he actually took this in, and he looked shocked. And yeah, he takes it in, and he says, I'm sorry. He says, inexcusable. He says, with both of my hearts, I apologise.
Well, this thing I was expecting, and I think maybe that says more about the show, like, not the show, but more about Doctor. I was expecting a but.
Right.
But the fact that he didn't, I was like, oh, he's actually sorry. Yeah, he realised what he's done is not great. And
well, that's the thing.
And she just wants to go home.
You probably forget things like, I mean, the idea of just someone scanning you and taking your biodata, it's like, I mean, that's a personal thing. Do you know what I mean? And for someone like him who's so used to saving galaxies, you wouldn't think that that's like, I need to ask permission to do this.
Yeah, well,
when
I mean,
someone
especially because Belinda works in a hospital, to do things like that, you have to ask permission. Do you know what I mean? You can't just take people's data.
Yeah. But it's clearly like it's not meant with malice, but he just doesn't think about it. And then when he got called out for it, he was like, oh, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, she says, I'm not one of your adventures. Do the right thing. Take me home.
Yeah.
And I think that's that thing. He's so used to just whizzing people off their feet and taking them on adventures. And he's like,
he's so used to people wanting, begging to go
when
with
he takes someone with him and they say, no, I don't want this.
Yeah. She's like...
That's not like someone that did travel with him and said, right, I've had enough now, I want to go home. This is someone's like, I don't want this.
That's what I mean. I love how refreshing this is. I also love the fact that she's like, can you please take me back by this time because I've got a shift at 7.
Yeah.
She's literally such a grafter. Do you know what I mean? She's just had the weirdest day. To her, she may think she's still...
a grafter. She was ready to die.
That's what I mean.
She was ready to kill herself to save these people she just met.
Yeah, and then she's like, well, didn't die. Back to the shift.
Back to the hospital tomorrow.
Back to work.
Yeah. She says, do the right thing, take me home. And he says, yes, of course. That's fine.
Oh, and then he has performance issues with the TARDIS.
Don't call it that.
Do you think he like, I know it's a thing, but do you think he would have been like, oh shit, like, I've told her that I'll take her back, and now I can't seem to put the TARDIS back to where it was. Do you think she's believing me that this is the case?
It's like a taxi driver missing the turn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're like, supposed to go back there? He's like,
Yeah.
Shortcut.
Yeah. Oh no, I guess you're going to have to go on an adventure with me, Belinda.
Yeah. So he tries to take it home, but the TARDIS doesn't want to do it.
No.
It keeps kind of like bouncing and nothing's happening. He says that we're like bouncing off of Earth. And he runs over to the TARDIS door and he opens it and they're just in space. He says, we're halfway between Miss Belinda Chandra 1 and Earth. And there's nothing there other than just kind of like space. So she says, Doctor, you have to take me home. And he says, yeah, I will, but it looks like we're going to have to take the long way round.
Yeah.
So he runs over to the console, flicks some buttons, and we see the TARDIS dematerialize. And as it disappears, the camera sort of pans back, and we see various things floating through space, including, I made a list, we see a British taxi.
Yep.
We see the Eiffel Tower. I don't know which one, though. Could be the Paris one or it could be the Las Vegas one. It looked too small in comparison to the taxi to be the Eiffel Tower.
That is true. Like, however, we also had a pyramid.
Yeah, Pyramid of Egypt is there. Statue of Liberty.
Yep.
Then we see the diploma. And we see a calendar marked off until May 24th, 2025.
Which is the day that
she left.
Yeah.
With enough days left in the month to take it up to May 31st, I believe, with 8 episodes, 8 days.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And that's it. So, what did you think with the context of having gone through the full episode and now we're kind of spoiler free. Yeah,
I really enjoyed this. I'd just like to make a little comment on that ending.
Yeah.
I thought it was a brilliant ending. And not only that, I love the fact that the next episode, in the reveal of what's coming next, doesn't address it. Do you mean? Like, the next episode is they go into a theatre.
It looks like they're going on an adventure, as if she just accepted being a companion. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm on about the fact that the Earth,
I see what you mean about
of Earth
are
just floating in space. It doesn't address that at all.
Yeah.
It's just they've gone to a theatre next time.
Well, to be fair, he does say it wasn't repelling him off of Earth; it was repelling him off of that date. So it's as if something's happened to Earth maybe in that time, and it's not letting him land there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we know the next episode is going to be set in the past.
60s?
I don't know, 50s. I don't know.
Like
but yeah, in general, about the robot revolution, like I say, Shooty's great. He's continued to be great. Belinda's great. So I feel like we've talked about her at length. How do you feel about the villain?
the weakest part, the villain.
I like the idea a lot.
I do.
And I like the execution in terms of how he looks in his casing. He looks like nightmare fuel. He looks horrible.
Well, this is the thing. So I don't like, but again, it doesn't matter. But for me, I don't particularly like the look of the AI generator.
Oh no, I agree.
Casing.
I agree with that. Yeah.
It looks
It's a bit cartoonish.
It looks a bit clunky.
Yeah.
But when you see him inside, it's like, oh God, like it's so brilliant. It's kind of a shame we don't get more.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. I just would have wanted a little bit more.
You like the robots?
I love the robots. I love Polish.
Polish.
I hope they took him with them.
You like Mrs. Flood? I
love Mrs. Flood. She's so unhinged. she just makes me have so many questions in the best way.
Yeah.
I love her. I want to mention now, before I ask you about your opinion, about something that I discussed with my dad.
Right. Did he watch it?
Well, this is the interesting thing. So for people that obviously don't know me and my family, my dad has liked some of the episodes of Doctor Who in the past. He used to watch some of the Tennant ones.
Yeah.
He used to watch a lot of the old Who, but generally he's not a Who fan.
Yeah.
He's completely...
Most people of our parents' age have
like,
dabbled in it, but...
Not bothered.
Yeah, they're not avid watchers.
I think he watched a little bit of last season's.
Yeah.
And was like, no.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. His partner doesn't like Doctor Who.
I can totally see that. Yes.
Doesn't like Doctor Who.
Yep.
The two of them sat down and watched this last night.
Yeah.
And both enjoyed it.
Well, there you go.
Not only that, I spoke to Dad about it this morning, and he's going to watch the next episode.
Hey.
He said, I really enjoyed that. He said, it's not what I expected. I think it was good.
I don't think that's what any of us were expecting.
And he said it, at the end, made me want to tune in next time, which I think is a huge thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been a long time since the show's been able to grab the attention of the more like casual audience.
Yeah.
I kind of hate using that term because it sounds very elitist. I mean, it sounds like, oh, the casuals, but like, you know what I mean? Like people that aren't Whovians, but
people who aren't going to be
people who stick it on
podcast,
because there's nothing else to watch on BBC One.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like people like that maybe would have been drawn back during the 60th specials because of Tennant and Tate coming back, and then I imagine soon as they watched the Christmas special, and then soon as season 1 started, they just didn't watch it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, even then, I don't know whether like the Star Beast would have been a bit too much for them. I don't know. I
feel like they would have watched it anyway.
Maybe.
Just
because
it was the fact that it was only 3.
Did your parents watch it?
Yeah.
My parents
watched all 3, and they watched the Christmas special, but I don't think they watched.
My parents
1.
didn't watch either.
Yeah.
My mum kind of watched a little bit of Joy to the World with me when we had it on in the background when we were having Christmas dinner with my nan.
Yeah.
But other than that, my parents don't watch it. So the fact that my dad not only watched it, enjoyed it, but also spoke to me about it this morning, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And the fact that he even said he doesn't know whether his partner's going to join him next week. She might do. But the fact that they both enjoyed it and are looking forward to the next episode, I think is huge.
The fact that he doesn't really care and that she actively dislikes the show, I'm surprised they sat down and watched it in the first place.
I think they were like,
There's just nothing else on.
they were basically trying to kill time.
Were they channel hopping?
No, they were waiting for something else,
Right.
and they were trying to kill time, so they just put the TV on and it was on,
Right.
and they both just sat and were like, oh, well, I guess we'll watch it,
Yeah.
and both enjoyed.
Yeah. I'll tell you something I've heard is... I'm trying to be careful with how I phrase this because I know it's such a fine line to walk. But with Nshuti's casting, I know a lot of people were hesitant about having a Doctor be too gay. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Too camp, and not that the Doctor's always been like a masculine figure because he's always kind of battled with his brain, not brawn. But I imagine for people of like our parents' generation, that might be a bit of a deterrent, the Doctor being too camp or whatever.
Yeah.
And I know that was a concern for people. But what I will say is Ncuti is so good, even though he is quite camp. I mean, there's a moment in this where he says, "Yes, Queen," and then kicks his leg in the air.
I love that so much.
But despite that, he's not put anyone off for that reason,
No.
to my knowledge.
No.
Of all the people I know who are a bit, not dubious, but maybe cautious, hesitant or whatever,
Yeah.
once they've actually watched him, they've all said he's brilliant.
Yeah, I agree, because I think there's been, especially because not so much, well, I mean, the rest of the season, but especially because we had a couple of musical numbers in the start of last season.
Yeah.
And then I think people were kind of wondering whether it was going to take a completely different turn.
Yeah. Doctor Who gone Glee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the fact that we've seen him in so many serious roles, and he's such a brilliant actor, and I think the fact that, I mean, I've made this very clear in the past, the fact that I would jump into the TARDIS with him. Like, if he was like, come on adventure, I'd be like, yeah. To be with his other doctors, I'd be like, no.
You wouldn't want to hop in the TARDIS with the 9th Doctor, would you?
I wouldn't jump in the TARDIS with the 10th Doctor. I'm like, nah, you're all right.
See, I
Capaldi, however, I'd be like,
the
let's
9th
go.
Doctor as a character, but if I were in that universe, I'd rather travel with the 10th Doctor than the 9th Doctor.
Really?
Yeah, the 9th Doctor. Because the 9th Doctor is going to be third wheeling with him and Rose.
Oh, God,
and like you would with him and with 10 and Rose as well. But
okay, well, we're not saying you're third wheeling with anyone. He's just picking you. Do you know what I mean?
even then, I feel like I don't think I'd get on with the 9th Doctor. I feel like he'd just be annoyed at me all the time.
Yeah, but maybe it's because you're male.
Maybe.
Maybe.
The
but,
Doctor likes his women.
Yeah, I think they're just easier to get on with sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Ncuti in this. And he has quickly grown, even in when I've had some less favourable, thoughts of like the previous series, not because of the way he's acted, but maybe because the direction of the show.
This is a big thing, and I don't know if I've brought this up on the pod or not. I might have at some point, but I've definitely said this to you a few times. There's a huge discrepancy between a version of the Doctor's era of the show versus their character.
Yes, definitely.
And the way I separate that is by everyone. It seems like no matter what the incarnation is, people say, insert name here, was a great Doctor let down by bad writing.
Yeah.
And people have been saying that since Matt Smith's era. People say it through to Capaldi, through to Jodie, and now through to Ncuti as well. And what I will say is, here's my defense. There are some really crap episodes, series 8, 9, and 10. But Peter Capaldi is so good that he makes them watchable. Even though I watch the episodes and I go, wow, this is crap, I will never skip it in a rewatch because I just like to see him do his thing.
Yeah, and I agree. I think the same thing applies for me with Ncuti. I love him.
Yeah.
And I think he's brilliant. And I honestly can't wait to watch the next episodes.
Yeah.
Especially the next one, which is coming. But what was your opinion anyway?
Like I say, I liked it a lot. I don't think it's amazing by any chance. I think it's a solid 5 out of 10, maybe a 6, depending on how I'm feeling. Like I say, I watched it twice. You've only seen it the once. I liked it more the second time. There were a couple of moments where I thought the pacing was a bit weird the first time, but then I didn't feel that way the second time. So I think it's just maybe what you're expecting out of the episode.
Maybe.
I think it's quite clever in the way the time travel aspects of this story felt very Stephen Moffat to me.
Yes, I agree. And
in terms of how it plays from start to finish like a single linear narrative, but then finding out that there's essentially like 4 timelines going on. So you've got 2025 where Belinda leaves home and goes to the planet. Then you've got 6 months prior where the Doctor landed. Then you've got 10 years prior where Alan started his revolution. And then you've got 5,000 years prior where the diploma landed. But all of that, it's not as if you're cutting between different time periods. It's all viewed through that main narrative. But you find out because of the time distortions, this is all happening.
Yeah.
And it's like she told the robots about Alan after she'd been kidnapped, but because of the time distortion, they picked him up 10 years earlier. So when she thinks he moved away,
Yeah. He didn't.
he
He's
was
just been
taken because she dobbed him in the future. Like, I love those kind of timey-wimey.
I agree. And I love, again, the little things, like I said, about the I know it's only tiny, but the blanket.
Yeah.
Things like...
Just world-building stuff. Stuff that makes the world feel fleshed out and not like, hey, I need this to further the plot. Just, you feel like, oh, so in this world, this makes sense. That would be there. I don't need to know how it works, but the fact that it can do X, Y, Z, and it's here because X, Y, Z, that's all I need to know.
And I think it's so interesting because really, we do not see that planet. We see the throne room.
Yeah, we see the landing bay where the rocket lands, the throne room, the tunnels, and then the AI room.
We don't... that's it. We don't see the world, but yet we get quite a lot of information from it.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite... the fact that there's rebels and they're saying like the lower levels where people are rising up. I think it's really interesting.
Yeah. We know that there are Miss Belinda Chandra bombs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But I'd say definitely a step up from last season's season opener.
Without a doubt.
I think even if you watch this and you're not super impressed, like I said earlier, season openers are never amazing. And with that in mind, I feel like this is definitely one of the stronger ones. I'm just always excited for more Doctor Who. So even when I watch an episode and it's not the best thing, I'm glad I watched it. I'd rather that than no Doctor Who.
That's fair enough.
So this is maybe the only show in the world where I can say that, because there are plenty of things where I'm like, if you're not going to make it good, I'd rather you just stop.
Yeah.
But Doctor Who's maybe the one thing where I'm like, hey, I'd take 3 years of Chris Chibnall Doctor Who to get back to this. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's fine. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. Good job, Russell.
Yes.
Looking forward to next week.
I'm dying to see next week.
Do you have anything else to say about the Robot Revolution?
Not in particular. I can't wait for this season. I've been looking forward to it a lot anyway.
Yeah.
Mainly because of our next episode. That's the one, especially the little clip that I've seen in the trailer. Spoilers if you haven't. Like, skip ahead a couple of seconds. But the fact that they go into animation.
Mr. Ring-a-Ding.
But also the fact that the Doctor and Belinda go into, like, 2D animation. Yeah. I can't wait for that. That's going to be brilliant.
Yeah. I'm really interested to see where this goes, because we don't really know anything about the plot.
No, not really.
Other than the fact there's, like, a cartoon character that wants to step out into the real world. That's kind of all we know.
And the outfits and the set designs of this world from just what we've seen from, like, the trailers, but also like the next time.
Yeah.
Look amazing. I'm dying. It's a historical like animation thing. Oh.
Yeah, it's great. I obviously don't have much trivia for you this time because the episode is so fresh. I tried to dig around. There's not a lot of information available.
There's one thing I would like to know, which I doubt you have. But if Connor doesn't, and if anyone knows, please let us know. If there are any alternative titles.
I have one.
This is interesting.
It's not good.
Because I don't like this title.
The Robot Revolution?
No.
It's better than this one.
Unless it's Planet of the Incels. Please don't say it is. Please don't say
That's a classic Who title if I ever heard one.
Planet of the Incels.
Attack of the Incels.
Oh no.
Yeah. No, the working title was Belinda and the Robots.
That is terrible.
That's worse.
That is.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish.
To be fair, they are working titles. Do you know what I mean? They're not like... It's not like the episode was going to be called that.
Yeah,
and then they changed the name at the last minute. It is just a working title whilst the script was being written.
Yeah, but it's quite self-explanatory. It's like, the one with Belinda and the robots.
Yeah,
Belinda
I mean, it's like, you know, like when Stephen Moffat was writing The Empty Child and the Doctor Dances, the working title was just World War II.
Yeah.
Because it was the World War II episode of the series.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like I say, what's it called? New Earth Body Swap. Because that was the hook of the episode, do you know what I mean? So it's like, a lot of the time they are just... So when they're looking at the series... Because a lot of the time, they don't write the series with the episodes in a specific order in mind. So it's easy to look at the series and go, right, body swap, episode 1, werewolf, episode 2. And it's easier to just do it that way sometimes.
Yeah.
And then give it a title afterwards. But yeah, Belinda and the Robots.
Yeah, I'm not so much of a fan. I think I'm glad it didn't go down the route I thought it was going to go down.
Yeah.
It did go down a little bit of a route, which I was like, oh no. But generally, I quite liked it.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a heavy,
rise up of the robots and taking
AI bad.
Yeah, but I'm glad it wasn't.
Yeah.
It's not AI bad, it's Al bad.
Bad Al.
Bad Al.
Yeah, obviously, I've only got 2 small notes, really. Varda Sethu is obviously now the 3rd actress to have been cast as a different character before being cast as a companion, preceded by Freema Agyeman, who's obviously Martha Jones, as well as her cousin, whose name I can't remember, that worked in Torchwood.
Yeah.
And we also had Karen Gillan, who was Amy Pond, who before that was one of the Soothsayer sisters in Fires of Pompeii.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Varda Sethu's 3rd actress to have that claim. Also, this is the only real kind of bit of trivia I've got, which is Belinda's surname was changed 3 times because the names previously assigned to her already existed in terms of there were already stars named after someone with that name.
Oh.
Apparently, her original name was going to be Belinda Finch.
Oh.
I don't imagine that would have been a relation to Mr. Finch. No. Russell just uses his name sometimes. He reuses names.
Yeah.
Yeah. But apparently there's already a star called Belinda Finch, so they changed it to something else, and there was already a star with that name. Yeah. So, Belinda Chandra is technically her 3rd name.
I like it.
That's all I've got. Do you have anything else?
No.
No?
I'm sorry, I have no information.
That's fine. It's kind of interesting covering these episodes as opposed to what we normally do. I guess we'll address that quick now while we're here. So obviously for our regular viewers, or even if you just stumbled across this, we usually cover, I was going to say older episodes, still revived like New Who, but we're currently making our way through series 2. The next episode to go up should have been the Impossible Planet Satan Pit, but we got a little delayed because life gets in the way sometimes,
Sorry.
But with this new series here, I think what the current plan is, we're going to be covering this new series, season 2 or series 15. We're going to be covering that as they come out. We will try our best to at least finish series 2 at the same time. Yeah. So maybe do 2 episodes a week just until we finish series 2.
There's not too many left.
There's not too many left. We just got the Possible Planet Satan Pit, Love and the Monsters, Fear Her, and then the finale. Yeah. So 4 episodes. Once we finish series 2, we'll probably stop and then just keep working on this series. Yeah. And then once we finish this series, we'll go back then and we'll do series 3. So I hope that makes sense. It made sense in my head. I hope that was easy to understand.
You should probably, don't expect, just look out for what we're
going to be aiming to do, right? So this new series of the show is airing on a Saturday.
So we'll try get something up on a Sunday evening or a Monday.
That's what we're aiming to do. Sunday, Monday, we'll try and get the episodes for the new series out. If we can double bill and do 2 episodes a week, including the series 2 from 2006 stuff, we'll probably put those up on the Fridays.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to try and do. If we're delayed, just bear with us. It'll come out.
Eventually.
It just, if it's like a day late, it happens, okay? Yeah. But yeah, that's what we're doing. So if you're a regular viewer, that's why this isn't that episode. But we hope you enjoyed anyway.
Yeah, and thank you for coming back, and thank you for, watching this. I know these episodes probably won't do as well. Not that it matters, because
it can go one way or the other, that's the thing.
Because I just want to talk about these things.
In some ways, we have less... people obviously don't have nostalgia for these episodes, so we get less people clicking on it because they're like, ooh, David Tennant's face, I'll click on that. But at the same time, it's new, it's current, we might get trend views. So I don't know. We'll probably do them anyway because we don't really do this for the views. I know everyone says that on YouTube, but
I genuinely just like sitting down and having a chat about these things.
Charles doesn't even look at the channel. Do you know what I mean? Once we finish recording this, Charles never even going to look, and she doesn't listen to these back. She doesn't see how many views they've got.
The only time I ever go and listen to the channel is when it's not me.
Yeah. When we've had guests on, Charles gone back to listen to the episodes, but like I say, with that in mind, thank you all for listening. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing, and you'll be able to keep up with obviously our thoughts on all the episodes in this new series as well as the older stuff. which we'll make our way through eventually, I'm sure. Yeah, you can also find us over on YouTube Music, on Apple Podcasts, or on Spotify, whichever one your streaming platform of choice is. But yeah, thank you all for listening. I guess we'll see you in the next episode where we'll meet Mr. Ring-a-ding-ding-ding. But until then, stay safe, stay away from incels, and we appreciate you all very much. Goodbye.
Bye.